Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome to the committee, Mr. Smith. Maybe you're related to my husband's family. I can't say for sure.
You never know.
That's right. Mr. Chair, in preparation for this hearing, I asked my staff to check in with Minnesotans on this very important issue of rural economic issues. And the one question that we kept hearing over and over again was, what is this administration's plan for spurring rural economies? And this question is being asked in the context of a lot of talk about moving things around within rural development. For example, moving the rural housing service to HUD, or rural business financing programs to SBA, or rural broadband programs to Commerce. I don't know what this would look like yet. We don't have a concrete plan, but I can tell you that in Minnesota, this is giving people a lot of concern because they trust the USDA on these issues. They know where to go, they know how to find the help that they need, and they know that rural challenges are unique, and they believe that the USDA understands that. And so I wanted to just raise this, Mr. Chair, because I think that as we're looking at a farm economy that is deeply challenging for so many folks right now, big credit crunch, a lot of challenges, it's really important that folks know that that USDA Rural Development is going to be there for them. And so I want to go to a piece of this right away. I appreciate that you mentioned rural housing in your opening statement. I'm sure everybody around this committee table knows that we have a serious shortage of housing, affordable housing in particular in rural communities. These are places where our elders, folks living on fixed incomes, people who are working 2 or 3 jobs but in low-wage jobs, this is where they live. And everyone agrees, I think, that the rural housing service at USDA needs to be reformed and modernized. And so this has been a special project of mine. I've worked with Senator Rounds on this for several years. Strong bipartisan support, and in fact, it passed out of the Senate. So I wanted to ask you about this, Mr. Smith. Do you, I think that the Rural Housing Service should stay at USDA. This is where they know the program, they understand how it works, they can work with rural communities, but could you comment on that? Do you think that it should stay at USDA? And will you work with me on this piece of legislation? It's yet to pass the House. It's part of the NDAA right now, bill that's passed out of the Senate. Could you just comment on this and let me know that you'd be able to work with me on this?
Certainly, Senator. I couldn't agree with you more. My firsthand experience with USDA is, as a farmer, is the NRCS and FSA offices, but they have very similar footprints out in rural America as rural development. We've got the mechanism for these programs, and I couldn't imagine it being in another area other than USDA. One of my primary responsibilities is to be the advisor to Secretary Rollins, and that certainly would be my advice to her. And as far as working with you, I would be more than happy to work with you on those ideas and that bill to make sure that comes about.
Thank you. I believe that this bill is one of those classic, common sense, bipartisan, doesn't cost very much, but let's just figure out how to make these programs that have been around for a long time work better.
Yes.
For farmers and for homeowners, and it could preserve up to 400,000 affordable units across the country. So it's a big deal. Let me just ask you about one other thing, in the minute I have left. I also hear all the time in rural communities about how important it is to find childcare. You know, if you don't have childcare, then, you know, you've got a lot of families that are working off farm as well as on the farm, and there's a real shortage. It's a big issue. This is another bipartisan thing. I've worked with Senator Ernst and Senator Marshall on this legislation that would help the USDA help local, often family-owned child care providers in their communities. Would you just talk a little bit about this, and would you be kind of how you see this challenge?
Well, actually, I probably should bring my wife up here in the chair because she can attest to the challenges we had raising 4 children, not having a lot of money, and basically her working a full-time job as a nurse at the hospital, me starting to try to get a business off the ground in town and operating a farm besides. And yes, it was a constant challenge and juggling contest to see who'd pick up who'd take who to school, who'd drop off to here. And childcare has become a critical need in rural America, as the next generation can attest to with our grandchildren. I know in our hometown community of Atlantic right now, there's an initiative to bring in new housing, and compatible with that and right with that is expanding on a child care center, which we contributed to. So absolutely, you've hit right on the point. The fact of life is many rural families are two-income families.
That's right.
Back when I was growing up, well, you had your grandparents, you had your uncles, aunts and uncles and cousins. It was right there, and a lot of times you all traded that off. You got on the school bus at the same time. Well, we're in a different era now with those two-income families. And a lot of times, two-income families means the spouse works just to provide insurance
Healthcare.
for that family. I've got a young friend down the road that's got 4 young children. They're all healthy, thank God. And his insurance is like $36,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that doesn't
You've got an
include-
idea to fix that, too.
Well, okay. But as
I'm
far
being
as
polite. This is
childcare-
the Ag Committee.
Okay. As far as child care, Senator, I couldn't be more supportive.
Thank you.
Of that, and that would fall under the community facilities area.
That's right.
And rural development, as I understand it, is active in it right now.
Well, I'm well over my time. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator.